For the ones who make over $150,000 a year, what do you do to get that? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. My wife and I started selling dolls and stuffed animals for kids with disabilities, different disorders, broken bones, birthmark replica dolls, heart conditions, etc. Every niche is fairly small in their own right, but add them up and we found a market. My wife started it when our daughter was going through heart surgery and wanted her to have a special gift just for her. Was doing about $50K a year in sales on Etsy, but then took the jump to Amazon. This year we should do close to 300 in sales and still run it with just the two of us. I still work my full-time job as a computer programmer, but plan to bow out soon because the 18-hour workdays are catching up to me. Just hard to take that leap with young kids. It is nice specializing in get-well gifts. It feels good to be a part of cheering people up. Story 2. Air traffic control. It's a dream job for me since I've been an aviation nut ever since I was a little kid. Now I get paid to stare out the window and watch planes take off and land. Sure, we have a certain amount of office politics and BS, same as any other job, but I genuinely love going to work every single day. ATC is definitely not everyone's cup of tea, and there's a lot of people who think they want to do it, but honestly just can't hack it during training. But for those who can, it's a great career in my opinion. Story 3. Honestly, the fastest way to get there is to job hop. I'm older, and there is no longer a reward for long-term employment. Pensions aren't a thing anymore, and employers don't give a shit to retain you. Leverage a new job for better pay. Also, don't be afraid to apply for jobs where you don't meet 100% of the qualifications. Those things are a wish list for employers, and I recommend you shoot your shot. Those last two sentences hit hard. I passed on applying for something because it had a technical requirement I didn't know. One of my colleagues, who is significantly less technical than me, went for and got it. A few years later and she's basically one step below C-suite, and I am not. She's a good friend, so I'm happy for her, but fuck man. I still think about that shit, and it was years ago. Ugh. Story 4. I applied for a welding position that basically required me to have years of experience with every metal, every position, every type of welding, high on buildings, in cramped quarters. If there's more, I'll think of it. I got the job, and all I do is stainless and mild steel TIG welding on a welding bench in an air-conditioned shop. Sometimes they throw some aluminum at me. In my specific case, someone other than who actually worked with the welders made the requirement list, and they just copy-pasted a high-end welding position requirement list off of Google. Story 5. I'm a steam fitter. Basically, I build industrial piping systems. Moved up the ladder after I got my license, and now with all the OT on the jobs I run, I make somewhere around 200K. I'm willing to bet that this is a union job you're in as well. Where I'm from, in North Carolina, union is treated like such a dirty word. I wish attitudes would change towards them, because there is no shortage of honest, hardworking people here, who don't make even half of what union workers do for the same work. People here are taken advantage of left and right, fired for no reason, and told to endure poor working conditions, because they have a family to support and bills to pay. They've also just been indoctrinated their whole lives to believe that collective bargaining would somehow result in them being worse off, or their company would shut the doors and lay everyone off. It's just sad. Story 6. Real-time operations on the power grid. I'm something called a reliability coordinator. Desk job. Will make $300 to $400K this year. No degree at all. I started at an electric utility company as a meter reader and just kept getting promoted every few years. Went to collections, shutting people off for not paying their bills. The meter services, replacing electric meters. Then meter lead, wiring metering packages and substations. Then engineering, designing installs for new neighborhoods. Then distribution operations, maintaining the system in your neighborhood. Then transmission operations, maintaining the high voltage lines you drive under on the highway that go from substation to substation. Then reliability coordinator, maintaining interconnection stability on high voltage lines. You could very easily skip straight to TSO by getting a NERC cert though. Story 7. I sell websites to small businesses. I have a whole agency with SEO guys and developers and designers. I sell $150 a month subscriptions for a website and unlimited edits. I have about 85 clients in various packages, and the rest is lump sum jobs for $3,500 million minimum. Currently on track to do $180,000 this year, no WordPress either. All custom coded. It's a nice living. It's insecure, clunky, unintuitive to edit, costs more money to run, needs plugins for everything, and I just have a much easier time coding them by hand. It's easy for me. It's fun. And it's a much easier product to manage. I have more control over what goes into it, the load times, and I can make anything I want. Story 8. Just out of curiosity and for anyone replaying here that makes over 150K, do you work insane hours to get that 55/60th hours? OT? Would be crazy to think that you make that much and basically just punch the clock at an even 40 hours. There is definitely something to be said for work-life balance, even if making six figures. Edit. Thank you to all who have replied. Not gonna lie, I'm jealous as fuck, but awesome to hear that most of you have an overall good work-life balance without too many crazy hours. As for me, I will likely have to work until I am 95, and you will probably find me wearing a blue vest and handing out stickers to little kids at the front entrance of a Walmart or something for some paltry wage, lol. Story 9. High school teacher. But I live work in the H-Cole area, have over a decade of experience, a master's degree, 75 plus hours of continuing education credits, and I'm working a 1.2 this year, meaning I gave up my prep period and teach 6 classes instead of 5 and get 20% extra pay. All that puts me just barely above $150,000 for the 425 school year. Presumably, next year they'll only need me to teach 5 classes and I'll be back under $150,000. Also, I get paid a little more in cash than many nearby districts, but my district doesn't provide health insurance, so I have to buy it on my state's exchange. Story 10. I only made 150K years hourly as a contractor, hired on it only approaches that with total comp. But their 401K match in the company rocks, so I'm comfortable. Applications developer, Salesforce, fully remote, work from home. If I wanted to leave and make 150K base with my experience, I imagine it would be quite trivial. But my company's awesome, and so are my coworkers, and I can't tell you how much money I'd sacrifice for that. If you can learn how to code, you probably can. There is a fuck ton of money people will pay you to do relatively easy jobs. Well, it's not easy. Developer work can get exceedingly stressful. But as someone who used to make, nothing is more stressful than a 2 with hours of commute that forces you to stay conscious through menial tasks for hours and stay conscious of your bank account. If you ever want to order a pizza or buy a video game console, I'll gladly put in 12 to 15 hour work days and occasionally grind over weekends to avoid ever being forced to do that crap again. Story 11. Sacrifice my mental health and my personal relationships. I used to care about identifying myself, but I don't give a shit if I get fired anymore, so I'll tell you. I am a GM at a global 3PL. My client is a well-known luxury fashion house. I drive over 100 miles round trip every day for everyone on my team and my client's team to throw their problems at me, including the problems they can easily solve on their own. I am surrounded by people with massive egos. My wife hates me. I leave for work before my son wakes up, and I come home regularly 10 minutes before his bedtime, usually too tired to do anything but sit and stare at the TV. With him until bedtime. He's 6. I'm sure he'll grow up to hate me too. I spend my weekends trying to catch up on chores, but I never catch up. I have no friends. I have no meaningful personal relationships. All I am is my job, and my job is, in the grand scheme of things, meaningless. I have completely lost my passion for life, and I have no real purpose. I should have learned how to weld. Story 12. Lawyer here making $520, $550K, $390,000 base salary and $130, $160K in bonuses. My pay is very standard for a lawyer at a large corporate firm, as big law lawyers are paid in lockstep for the first 7 to 8 years. I have 5 years of experience, and essentially every other 6th-year lawyer at a large firm in a major US city makes the same amount I do. Takes way more of my time than I'd like, but it's exciting and pays well. The minimums are usually in the 2,100 range. It depends on the firm. I know medium firms that will put in a minimum of 1,650 or so, but then the pay is going to be substantially less as a result, and the offices are not going to be in big city downtown class of space. Also, that's billed hours, not hours worked in the office. Eager beavers will bill up to 3,000 hours per year. Add in the time you spend in the office not billing, and you realize that work is your life all day, every day. The ones who do this are the ones who are so desperate to make partner, they'll sell their children's souls. Newsflash though, once you make partner, the hourly workload only gets slightly better, and it is still an awful lot of time. I am a lawyer and have been for 17 years. Story 13. $230,000 annual base salary. General counsel at an industrial manufacturing and construction company. That means I'm a lawyer and head of the legal department for a fairly big company. I've been a lawyer for almost 9 years and done multiple kinds of law. That has allowed me to skip a few steps, but I'm also damn good at what I do and work my ass off. The only lawyers I know that are happy are in-house lawyers like me and some prosecutors, but they get paid shit. But not everyone gets lucky enough to go in-house. If you're thinking about law, I would highly recommend that you reconsider. Do medicine, software, cybersecurity, or if you're hot, be a sugar baby, I guess. JK, don't do that. But anything but law. Edit. For those asking why not law, it starts with school. Everyone at law school was the smartest kid in every one of their classes from elementary school through college. Everyone. Then you got from that to being, maybe middle of the pack, a nobody. And it's super fucking cutthroat to get even there. But you learn to think like a lawyer, that is, be a super obnoxious and hypercritical overthinker. Then you get to a law firm or a government job or whatever, and it turns out law school taught you very little, if anything, about being a lawyer. But you're expected to know or learn the rules and start billing time, or charging people with crimes, or protecting kids from abusive parents, or some other super fucking heavy thing, at 25 years old. Don't get me wrong, I take a tremendous amount of pride in it. But imagine, if you will, keeping track of everything you do in 6-minute increments to get to 150 hours worth of billable hours of work a month. You can never get ahead, at very best you are caught up, until the first of the month when you are 150 hours behind again. It takes you 200 plus hours of actual work to get to 150 or 160% of billable time. This is not an exaggeration in any sense. Imagine also being the only thing between your client and 10 years in prison, or losing their home, or losing their business or kids. In my situation, I am constantly on the lookout for problems and watching for things that may become problems for my entire company. The mental burden is a lot. I am a borderline alcoholic and am only now learning to take care of myself again. It's been a long road and I'm on the right side of it now, but there were times when I could have easily not made it to tomorrow, if you catch my drift. Story 14. I work in it for the government. Started off as Tier 2 help desk support with no degree like 20 years ago for a semiconductor company. Laid off twice in a 7-year span. Now I do senior IT asset management stuff along with some project management if I have to. $150,000 and I take no work home with me. 8 to 5 and I'm done for the day. It's not glamorous, but I like to share to give people without a degree hope. I've obviously been pretty lucky, but don't think you need to be stuck doing a $50,000 help desk job. Find a niche that you can fill or use whatever skills you already have to sell yourself. I had a pretty solid background in customer service, big box middle management, so I used that to my advantage. I make it very clear that I might not be the most technical person in the bunch, but I for sure will have the best customer service rapport and have made a career out of being the bridge between it and non-IT staff, taking overcomplicated IT explanations and simplifying it the best I can. Anybody with problem-solving and comprehension skills can do what I do. Edited salary to reflect actual take-home pay. Story 15. I'm a cybersecurity engineer. I specialize in cloud security and security architecture. I was a web developer beforehand. I kind of failed upwards to a full-stack engineering position, then jumped over to security to be a DevOps engineer for a security engineering team that was starting a new practice within an established MSP. Since then, the role has expanded significantly, as well as the scale of the systems I've built. I'm really proud of where I'm at right now and for the future. I don't have my bachelor's degree, but did 3 years at an elite American university as a data science major before I got burnt out. So I'm educated, just not credentialed. However, soon I will be obtaining my CISSP, which is the gold standard for cybersecurity leadership. I may pursue a bachelor's later on at a place like WGU. We'll see. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.